to Spiritual Conversations, Empowered Intention. I'm Samantha Vidal. Welcome to joining us today. We'll be having a spiritual conversation with Michelle DICesare. So just pull up a seat and grab a coffee or a tea and join us. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Sam.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I love the fact that when I get a reading from you or any of the Reiki sessions, I feel energized. And that's something that I like to take with me through the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to practice, holding on to that energy and or sharing that energy. So
Yeah.
that's something that's great that I got from you. And I think that the more I learn about that sort of energy that you receive from spirit, then, I can put forth that to my day. So
That's beautiful.
Practice, because I don't practice that ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really great that you allow me to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really good at and sharing it later
Yeah.
on.
What comes with practice, and the thing is, especially when you're doing Reiki, what happens is, if the person who's coming through knows that, well, I know I can connect with the participant or the client, I would rather go direct to them and bypass the facilitator, right? And sometimes because I kind of help strengthen the connection for you so that you're able to receive messages directly.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I can totally experience that. It is that direct and specific. So I appreciate that. And that's a gift that you have that I'm able to benefit from. But any of my own spiritual experiences are very sporadic and kind of, don't know when it's going to happen. And that's something that I think I would benefit if I knew how to, encompass that, quality. I have a hard time with that anyway. I think it's being empathic, and I think that the people that I've spoken about with some of my friends, and something simple like, "Oh, I was thinking about you today," or "I'm thinking about someone," and then they phone me. And it's like, that's not a coincidence.
No.
Yeah.
No. When those things happen, it means you're getting on the same frequency. Because when we, the more we raise our vibration, the more that we're open. You can be on the frequency when you're on a lower vibration, but somebody else has to be the same match. Right? So the more you raise your frequency, the higher and easier it is to connect.
Right. And it's possible to receiving other energies that maybe you weren't looking forward to receiving. So that's another issue as well that is fearful, because you have that possibility, and that's another thing that I worry about, just to let you know that's concern,
Yeah. And a lot of that's about intention too. So if you put the intention that I am only open to receiving love and light, and anything else is not welcome.
That's great. That's probably good to do. Like if I'm going into work and I'm going to be surrounded by other people, and the energy is really high backstage, and things are flying, and you can feel it. And that's when you feel like you're Wonder Woman, like you're bouncing everything off you.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I have experienced a lot of spiritual, you know, happenings in the theater because of that high energy.
Yeah. Well, and spirit's going to feed on that, because there's a collective energy in the theater, right? So they tap into that, whether it's positive or negative, and depending on what the spirit is, they're going to tap onto that, because it's like kind of like a fuel, right? So that helps them to communicate easier.
I think so, because I think a lot of experiences, I have had them here, and most of them are at the theater, where that level, energy level, that vibration is high. So, and that's something that I'm going to have to really be aware of. To, you know, want to open up to have that communication with spirit, then I really have to learn how to control that.
Yeah. And it's being conscious of setting that intention. Like I have programmed on my phone, which I started like years ago. I was listening to someone, and her name was Susan Shumsky, and she said a couple of phrases, and I ended up putting those in my phone so that every morning and every night I say them. Even if I don't say them directly, but I do acknowledge them every time they come on my phone and pop up. So I have one that comes on at 7 and one at 11. So it's combining the two of them in my head now. I am the only authority in my life. I'm divinely protected by the light of my being. So I say those like every morning and every night. Or I close off and at nighttime I usually say I close off my aura to only to be available to love and light. So that way I know when I'm choosing to be in service and not to be in service. And what I have had to start doing, because I've started doing a little more channeling, is I end up having I wear a bracelet, and then I put that on saying I'm available when I'm wearing the bracelet. And then I take it off at night saying my office hours are over and I'm not available until I put it back on again.
That's a great idea, because at night you can easily have a wonderful, quiet sleep, and there'll be a night when it's beyond your control. And I think that's where I need help. Because during the day, you just keep going. Distractions are bad and sometimes good, but it doesn't, really affect you greatly. Except when you want to turn off.
And that's the other thing too, is a lot of times when we're super busy during the day, spirit's trying to get our attention, but you don't recognize when they're trying to get your attention. So then they're like, well, okay, well, you're relaxed and you're quiet now. So, hello.
It's so true. That's when things start to move.
Yeah. I've got your undivided attention now. Let's talk.
There's something really lovely going on, or involving my kids. I want to be a part of it, and they want me to know that they're there.
Yeah.
And I'll have something. Like the pencil that fell and was on the ground, straight up in the air, with me thinking, how could that pencil fall and be standing in the middle of the floor? How small? No one even pushed it, but there was energy, and they want to be noticed.
For sure. And especially when they know that you can sense them. They're like, come on, I know you can do it.
And then I let them down every time. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know for years that I was being connected. I for the longest time, I would feel little vibrations throughout my body in different spots. And I didn't realize, because I just thought, oh, that's just an itch, and you go and scratch it. And it wasn't sort of until like maybe around 2013 2014, when my uncle passed, that I paid more attention to feeling this little tingle. And I'm like, that's interesting, because I would notice it, but it felt a little different. And I start paying attention more. And I'm like, and then I start to clue in, oh, someone's petting my hair.
Wow.
And trying to get my attention.
No, I haven't had that.
Yeah. Or feeling a tingle across the bottom of your leg, and you're like, oh, and you just think it's your body doing these little tingles, but it's like, no, that was the cat that just walked by.
I told you about some of my experiences that are really bold. I think it has to be bold,
Mhm.
because I don't really know if I would be able to sense something close.
Yeah. I think you would. I think as you sort of become aware, you will.
Okay.
Right. Sometimes they need to get big. Like, it's like the whole reason why the numbers, like around the same time with my uncle, the numbers, like I kept saying 1111. I kept seeing the repetitive numbers of like 222, 333, 717. Like, I kept seeing them, and I still see them, but I recognize that it's like, hey. And with him, I really, like, I remember sitting in the back seat of the car going to the funeral home to make arrangements, and just in my mind's eye, I could see him laughing, and I saw him on this big, long, sort of red couch sitting with my other uncle and having a conversation. I'm like, yeah, this is totally the two of you. And then I clued in, okay, yeah, I am seeing, having those messages, just letting me know he's okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has become more powerful. Yes, a better word, but when I started meditating, and that's in the last 15 years. So having that time to connect and slow down, so that you're not just involved in your day, that involves everybody around you, that time set aside for you inside yourself. And since then, and making a conscious effort to slow down and become aware of how I control my thoughts, that has opened me up to a lot of, yes, I think you used the word metaphysical.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. Meditation helps. It helps so much to connect with your own self, your higher self, and with spirit. Right. So that you're open to receiving the messages.
Yeah. Yes, I guess being open is great. And I think also too, it's often happens, or I receive, some connection when I'm with certain people. Or if we're doing reading, something really super quiet, or doing a project, or something that's like there's absolutely no noise. And, just either cooking, or, everyone's busy doing something, then that's when there'll be an issue with, as I said, that, the orbs that I have, or, certain lights dimming and becoming bright, and the phone, dialing and things moving. It happens when it's completely quiet.
Yeah.
We're all focused on something else.
Yeah. Well, they know that you're going to notice it. Right.
Sometimes I think they enjoy the fact that we're all doing something, and that connection, and they want to be part of it, because it's always, a really great moment, and you think back on what a nice day I had. I think that's when you might have a visit, because they want to be part of that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I want a party.
Yes. I really believe that. But maybe they're happy as well because we're doing something for ourselves. It is, you know, a form of self-care when everybody is at that point of either relaxing or focusing, and
Yeah.
well, we're not all buzzing around and doing whatever. That
Yeah.
chaos of life.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah. But meditating does help you, or me, just focus. And then when I have that focus, and when things are even, then yeah, it seems to be sort of a healthy time.
Yeah. And it helps you become more aware of your body as well, because then you notice the sensations in your body as to, okay, this feels normal, or this doesn't feel like the norm. So you notice like the little, you know, like the energetic tangles, or you notice even within your body, okay, this is feeling a little discomfort here. Then you start to acknowledge that maybe there's something I need to look at myself. Like, you know, like let's say your right foot is sore. You start to notice that within your meditation, where you might not have noticed it during the day that it was sore, but you notice it when you're meditating. And then you can have the opportunity to ask your foot, what is the message you're trying to tell me? Because every sort of sensation in your body is a message.
That's something I need to focus on as well. When you were telling me that we're going to do a Reiki session on healing a certain part that we have addressed, and focusing on that is something that I don't do. So that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just notice that. I mean, you can notice it in the daytime too, but when you're meditating, you can just really tune into your body and just go through each part of your body and ask. And you can start from your head or your feet, and just, you know, if you start at your feet, just asking, how are my feet doing? Are they feeling relaxed? Are they feeling stressed? Are they feeling tension? What are they feeling? And then just going through each part of the body and asking, and spending some time. So if your feet say, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable, what is your message? You may not even get through your whole body, depending on what your body's feeling like. You may need to spend time just on your feet and say, okay, what is it that's going on? Is it that I've been ignoring you and you need some self-care because I'm standing too long? Or are you trying to tell me that I'm stuck in the past, or I'm stuck in the future?
Okay.
You know, or worried about stepping into the future. So depending on whether it's right side, left side, if it's left side, you're worried about the past. And if it's right side, you're worried about stepping forward.
Oh, this is something I'm going to, okay, we're recording, so I don't need to write it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know me, I always take notes. Well, that's good. You know, that's the thing to, you know, make an effort to concentrate on. And I like that body scan.
Yeah.
I know you do that when you're doing a Reiki session.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's good for me to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can just be as part of your meditation. And that gets the body to relax even further, so that it calms. When you do the body scan and do that, it starts to calm your mind as well.
Yes, I like that. I don't do it extensively, but I like the whole, you know, this is your half hour to calm. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can do, like, if it's really that you really need you really need a session to feel super relaxed, then you can go through your body parts, starting again from your feet, working your way up, and just tensing your feet up and then relaxing them. Because sometimes you don't realize how much tension you're holding someplace, and then just going through each part of the body. Now, if you're prone to muscle cramps, then just be aware of that, just to not tense too much, because it could cause a muscle cramp. But just start from the bottom, like from the feet up and up to your head, and just tensing everything up, because then it causes the body to relax very quickly.
Okay.
And then that way, when you can go into your meditation after that, and your mind will start to not wander as much.
This is good to know because I don't often connect my mind and my body.
Mm-hmm.
Often I concentrate on my mind and problems and situations, and I can use meditation to solve situations, but I'm not using meditation for healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something that should be doing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And the meditation, like just by going through your body scan, you start to problem solve because your different parts of your body are holding that worry.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And the body will start off with like small aches and pains, and then they'll get louder and louder when they really say, hey, you need to listen.
You're not addressing the situation.
We're trying to get your attention.
I get that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like, hello, McFly.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That happens when you're supposed to make a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing sometimes, and I don't like to talk about it with many people because a lot of people just don't understand it or aren't open to.
Mm-hmm.
And something can happen and you're around people, and it could even be in business or whatever. And
Yeah.
I just sort of sit quietly and experience something. But
yeah. And you can always, have a conversation with spirit when it's convenient to do that. So, I mean, in a business meeting, not necessarily. But you can have that conversation, say, when everyone's gone, you can have a conversation with me.
yes. And as you know, things like my cat, if I'm connected with you in a session,
Yeah.
she'll be ignoring me for hours and hours. But as soon as we get, here she comes now.
You talked about me.
She doesn't bother me all day, but when it gets started, I'm not exaggerating. That is set up. She doesn't do this. But when we're talking about spirit or dealing with exchanging, like,
yeah. Well, animals like the feeling of the energy, right? And they sense all energy.
Yes.
So as soon as they feel a shift in energy, if something was feeling heavy and all of a sudden it feels good, it's like, hey, I want in on that.
Yeah. And it's just very simple, but if she's enjoying our exchange, she'll come around.
Yeah.
And then she'll ignore me for another week, and then Sam's here.
Does she come around when we're doing the meditations on Wednesday?
No, she doesn't. Usually Lily's with us. So I think the two of us together, she's one of the people, my daughter's one of the people that has that ability to, with each other, we both have that, things happen or we'll say something think of something at the same time, or, all those, what was that?
Yeah.
Finish each other's sentences or whatever.
Yeah.
We're together a lot, especially in quarantine, so there's a lot of stuff between us.
Yeah. And that's pretty common. If you're empathic, the likelihood that your kids are empathic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
you're open, especially if you're open to it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're accepting and open to being empathic and working with it, then our kids are open to working with it. Whereas if we're closed off and we're fearful of it, then that part can become blocked for them. Right? Because it's like, I don't want to feel it. I'm numbing out. I don't want to feel it.
Yeah. Well, just being a parent, I could see like it has changed in from year to year. From when they were really little, it was a very strong connection and had conversations. when they were toddlers about certain things that they could see. And then that changed. And then there were, years where there wasn't anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now teenager has, coming into her own, has a different kind of perspective that
Mm-hmm.
is more like mine.
Yeah. I think there is like a natural evolution of, you're really connected and then you somehow feel it's unsafe and then you kind of block it for a while and then, you either come back to it or you don't.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I know I was intuitive as a kid, but I didn't know that I was intuitive. But I would, and I know that I was empathic, but I didn't know that I was empathic because I would feel stuff like I would watch the news and I'd be really affected. I'm like, I need to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be like at 5, 6 years old, feeling that way. Yeah. So I knew I was sensitive that way, but I didn't realize I didn't have a word for it until I was like in my 30s when I started working with one of the opera singers and picking up her back pain and not knowing it.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I overheard a conversation that she had been in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, this makes sense because I don't normally have lower back pain. All of a sudden I'm having this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I've overheard this. I'm like, I bet you it's not mine.
Right. Yeah.
Because I start to understand a little bit more about energy.
Mm-hmm. I know. So it's, hard for me to describe, but I definitely am affected by even seeing the news sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Those images out of my mind. And
Yeah.
or if you're meditating, trying to get those images out of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll see news or even at work, watching
Mm-hmm.
a show and seeing people dancing across the stage. And then when you're meditating, you don't want that people dancing.
Yeah.
I just let them happen. Then they go away and,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of all of that emotion.
Yeah.
And it gets easier actually now once you practice. And I find, trying to start my meditation.
Yeah.
I can do a lot more now than ever, just because I control my thoughts.
Yeah. And I think in the beginning, you're so worried about it being perfect that you're like, okay, go away. Stop that thought. Go away.
Right.
And you keep trying to reset and it gets frustrating.
Yes.
But if you kind of just go, okay, I thought about that. Okay, bye. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, bye. And just absorbing it as opposed to trying to resist it and fight it and say, get out.
Yeah. Or maybe it's because I'm older and I'm able to do that in my own life during the day, even,
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we've had over a year inside
Mm-hmm.
or surrounded by people that you have to be able to tune out.
Yeah. And learn patience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, I'd like to have more, maybe soon have more time to experience some different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what would you recommend? Would there be a class that you have that not just Reiki, but is there another class that you have that would help me to experience that spirit that I have?
Yeah. Well, do you mean like within the meditation classes?
Maybe that would be a good thing.
Yeah. So within the meditation classes, you start to connect, and part of it is building your visualization skills helps, I mean, not everybody can visualize, because some people are more feelers,
Right.
but one of the things you can do with like visualization is in meditation, but also just um, strengthening your visualization skills by, even if you, let's say you go outside and you're sitting in the backyard and you're looking at a flower, right? Really really acknowledge and looking at that flower and looking at the detail, and then closing your eyes and see if you can replicate that in your mind's eye,
Yes. Yeah.
because that starts to build detail. And so that starts to build things so that you can see clearly.
Okay.
That helps.
That would be a lovely way to if you're looking for something positive,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yellow, and the details of the flower and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and the different colors of yellow and all that. That would be
Yeah. It helps. It's that's that's called mindfulness, and just really paying attention to those details. And it's convenient too. Like if you're just choosing, like wherever you are, you can just choose something,
right.
or you can recall that symbol of that flower. Okay, that whenever I see that and I just close my eyes, I know that I'm feeling calm and relaxed.
Okay.
And you just go into that detail. And that it's kind of like counting sheep in some ways, if you think of it like, but you're looking at the detail of the flower. And that sort of becomes calming. And then that way you can go into your meditation, and your mind's a little bit less wandering because you're thinking about the details.
It's sort of like your bracelet.
Yeah.
On, and now
Mm-hmm.
that image, and this is sort of an opening.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean that, and the other thing you can do is do like, so like one of my meditation courses that I have, that's it's like an email one that gets delivered to your mailbox, and that's for 21 days. So that starts off with like meditation of like the first day you're only meditating for a minute with a candle, and then each day gets a little bit longer. So there's a segment with candles, and there's a segment with visualization, and there's a segment with some guided meditations, and they keep getting longer and longer to sort of build that meditation muscle. And the reason why I start off with the candle is because you start staring at the candle with your eyes open and not even closing your eyes. And what that does is it helps you to focus and clear your mind, because you can't, it's hard to think about anything else when your eyes are not wandering. So you're just observing the flame, and the detail in the flame, and the flickering back, and if there's a little bit of smoke, you're observing that, and it's just keeps you focused.
I'll check that out. See if I'll log onto your site. Is that, you said 21 sessions?
Yeah, it's 21 days, and that one gets delivered to people's mailboxes.
And you can do it at your own time?
You do it at your own pace. It gets delivered like one email a day, but you can do it at any time of the day, and it's a recording.
Okay. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm looking forward to. Now that we're having nice weather and possibly more time.
Yeah. Well, that's why with the weather right now, it's nice to do the flowers, and taking that time to stare at a flower and really learn the detail. And part of what that I think does too is when spirit starts to speak to you, you can understand the visualizations that they send you. So when they send you a symbol, you can pick up the detail, because they send things in symbols for you to understand. So when you really build that visualization skill of picking up and seeing the detail, so when they give you something and you pick up that detail, then you're getting a little more fuller story than sometimes them just sending, like let's say they just send let's say they send you the flower, you might just say, oh, I saw a yellow flower.
Mhm.
But when you sort of pay attention to the yellow flower, well, was it a whole flower or was there part of the flower missing?
Mhm.
Was the flower fresh or was it not so fresh?
Mhm.
Was it a cut flower or was it still in the garden? What was it attached to? Was it in a vase? Was it not in the vase? So you start paying attention to those details, which gives you more information.
Okay. How to communicate, you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you start to learn what your symbols are.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's something I've learned in the last few years. And that's what I was learning with Reverend Sheila
Hmm.
to build my mediumship skills and understanding spirit more.
Wow. That's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And is
It's
that
just,
meditation, 21 is meditation?
not so much. Well, you do connect to spirit in the meditations, in the later meditations, similar to the meditations that we've been doing on Wednesdays. Um, but it's really about starting to build that meditation practice, especially for people who haven't meditated before. It can feel very overwhelming. So that's why I started off with like the first day's a minute, and then the next day's, I think, 2 minutes. And each day gets a little bit longer so that it feels doable.
Yeah.
And there's some information as well that in the how to sort of set yourself up for success.
Right. Even just doing meditation regularly makes it easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be long like that. That's why with the Wednesday classes, I only wanted it to be 30 minutes because people are busy.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if you're not used to meditating,
mhm.
like I know when I first started to go into someone's meditation class and it was an hour long, I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And
it
you're
works.
yeah. And especially when there's like there's parts that are silent. You're like, okay, how long do I got? How long do I have to communicate? And okay, is it over yet? Like you're kind of in that, especially when you're in the beginning, because you're like not sure how long, let's say 5 minutes actually is,
Sure.
right? You're thinking 5 minutes, oh, am I gonna have time to do all this communication? And in the beginning, it's just gonna be relaxation. It's not, you're not necessarily gonna have something come through.
But on your Wednesday meditation, it's great because you start with, a project. You're giving everybody, this is a scenario, and
Mm-hmm.
it's guided. So
Yeah.
we're all able to, decide for ourselves, but at the same time,
Yeah.
we're given parameters so that we don't just drive off the road.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just to give you a beginning, and then I like to leave it so that your imagination or spirit will assist you to go further and allow it to be what it needs to be for you. And I like to give like somewhere between like 5 to 10 minutes of silence so that you get to explore, and it builds that comfort zone with being in silence, but it doesn't feel so overwhelming to sit for a half hour in silence.
Well, it's great that it doesn't feel like a half an hour, but it's great that we have that chunk of time that
Mm-hmm.
you make us do all that. So that's good.
Yeah. And it's nice to
Thinking of
connect with other people who
We're just responding to you.
yeah, they're a lot of fun though. They're a lot of fun.
Definitely. It sets
Yeah.
me up for the day, for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's nice doing it on Wednesday because it's midweek where you kind of need that that boost again.
Definitely.
Yeah, kind of that boost, but you don't feel like the Monday morning rush where you're like, okay, it's Monday and I got to do all these things and get going and figure out what am I doing for the week.
Yeah.
You kind of have it figured out by Wednesday, but you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready for the weekend now.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, it's great, man. Thanks so much for, allowing me to be a part of that, because it's so amazing, and everybody should be so lucky.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're able to come.
Yes. And my daughter,
Yes.
my sidekick. I call her my secretary. She's not here right now, so I can say that.
And does she connect easily as well while she's doing the meditation?
I think so. And even as a child, she could. And actually, there were certain times when she'd say, "I feel like I'm floating." I'd be like, "Okay, well, we'll just stop for now. I don't know what to do here."
Yeah. Well, you just reminded me that it's important to ground afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise you can stay in that space. So it's just nice to ground and connect with, again, back to your body and back to the earth to.
Yeah, you do that. You always have us come back.
Yeah.
That's definitely great. So I'll have to look into that other meditation class. Thank you. I'm so glad to know that. And if there's anything else, I always like your emails, so it's good.
That's awesome. Well, you get one every day.
That's what I need. Lovely, for you, Michelle. Samantha. Instead of, can you do this for me? Okay. Yes, that would be a lovely email. Thanks, Sam.
Welcome. Okay. So thanks, Michelle.
Pleasure.